We're going to do a little supplemental on plane iron sharpening for cheap people. Cheap people who aren't professional woodworkers. So what I've got here, humble brag a little bit, scored an antique Starrett 3-piece, one of these jobbers at a yard sale for a pretty good deal. And it has this beautiful angle finder on it. So I've used the angle finder to dial in about 25 degrees. Bevel down and just screwed it into this chunk of scrap wood. And you also want to make sure you're going sort of pretty square there, thiswards and thatwards. And then the highest grit paper I have available at the moment is 600. But what I'm going to do is give it a little wet. It's a wet dry paper, and we should be able to sort of hold on to this and just smarten that bevel up a little bit. Thankfully the water in the garage isn't frozen today, although I can see my breath, so it's a bit chilly. So just I was hand sharpening this, trying to feel the bevel, and that does work, but somebody with more practice than me is going to be way better at that. So I just wanted to try this little jig out. Again, I'm just working on this piece of melamine shelf, which is, close enough to flat. Yeah, you can see a line there. Absolutely. So I might tease this along a little bit more. See how much that line moves up towards the tip, or if it moves at all. We're learning together here, folks. If you're doing this like I am and not sticking the paper down, try not to gouge yourself in the fleshy parts there. Pro tip, I guess. So I'm trying to put pressure down here in the middle of the front of the blade. Yeah, that looks really nice. You can see, try to catch a reflection here. You can see most of the way. I got about 1/8 of an inch here on this side and maybe a 1/16 on that side. I'm getting really close. And that's so smooth. So controlled compared to doing it just freehand like I was doing before. So our little jig is working, and I think it may wear a little bit here on the edge as I go against this because it's not perfectly smooth. Maybe something slippery on here would be beneficial, but I know that this angle of the bevel is somewhere around 25 degrees, which is fine, and we can get the reflections here. Try to get a reflection there. You can kind of see the reflection going there. It's a nice even grind now, nice leveled bevel. This corner and this corner appear to be cambered out just a little bit. So the true shape of this blade probably used to be a little bit curved like this, little crown to it. That's okay. It's desirable in a way so that the corners don't dig into your workpiece. So we're going to do something else with that in a minute, but while we have this mostly worn out paper here, I'm going to address the chip breaker a little. Address or dress, I suppose, as it were. And where this is a rust rescue kind of a piece, back here got pitted pretty bad, and there's some pitting along here. I have the actual mating surface here cleaned up really quite well. But I'm just going to run this really softened up piece of paper, sandpaper, over this surface to try to smooth it, because when the chips come off of the board, they have to hit here to curl out, and if we can smooth that, it will make it less resistive or less work for the chip to go up over the chip breaker. So just going to give it a little bit of this. Remember, the ladies love a hand finish. On an iron and chip breaker that are in good condition, you'd probably never do this, but we're just trying to make this kind of a rat rod restoration kind of a hand plane, not a museum piece. So that's a great improvement. It even feels smooth to the touch now. And this mating surface, I'm just going to get down here a little bit. Just make sure that's nice and flat so that that can mate against the iron. We're not done yet, but we are going to pop that off of the little... Oh, I bumped my camera. Hold on now. Whoa, don't get seasick. We're going to pop this off. So there's our iron. And I actually wrote a little note here. 3 and 1/16 gives me around 25 degrees. So from this surface here to the tip, 3 1/16 or so, gives us in the 25 degree ballpark there. And when you're doing this sharpening, and that took basically the whole piece of paper. Let's see if I can feel the bevel in it now by hand. Oh yeah, it's a lot better now. Just gonna flick that up just a tiny bit. Yeah, that's a little better. Now that it's been sort of referenced with that regrind, it's a lot nicer to handle. And I can feel just by doing those few little stripes, you feel your bevel, give it kind of a pull. And I can feel the wire developing on the back, so that's when the metal is sort of pushed up over the edge a little bit by the sharpening medium. So there's a little bit of a roughness here on this side, and there's a trick for that I've always wanted to try since I heard about it. So all the cool kids on YouTube do this thing now called the ruler method or something or other, and they take a little metal, a thin metal like a machinist's ruler or something, probably close to a hacksaw blade in thickness. I don't have one, don't care. But I do have some of this thin cardboard off of the back of the, whatever this is, sandpaper packaging. And here's how this works. So they do this on a whetstone or sandpaper or whatever. They go bevel up. So they've developed their little wire. They've pushed their wire back and forth by sharpening both sides a little bit. And when they're ready to finish her off, yeah, okay, good. Sorry, distracted. When they're ready to finish her off, they run the plane blade on a little ruler on this end, so they can go back and forth like this, and it imparts just the tiniest bit of angle in this direction by raising this end a little bit. Which makes sense because, traditionally your sandpaper is flat and you come at it like this and you just lay your blade down like this and smooth the back off, which I do as well, especially on this one where it needed a lot of work to clean it up anyway. But you can do that, but then if you take a little bit of an angle, you're creating a micro bevel on the back side of it here. And that doesn't give you any huge advantage, except it means you're only sharpening like 1/8 of the blade or whatever, instead of trying to move this much of the metal to do the edge, to clean the edge, you're moving this much of the metal to clean the edge. So that's the idea with that. And then again, check your other side, feel your bevel, just to make sure it's okay. Now the cool kids on YouTube go way higher than 600 grit. That's what I had available to me today. And I can feel that sharp. I can feel it biting into my texture in my skin with no pressure at all. It should shave a little. Yep, shavey shave. So we'll put her together with the chip breaker and see how they made up. This again is a cool kid on YouTube thing. You always put her on this way instead of jamming it together and whatever, so that the two cutting edges or the two smooth edges don't bang and clang. This is the even Steven way. So we'll give that just a, you feel it on the sides, get it mostly lined up here. You want your chip breaker just, I don't know, just shy of the cutting edge, I guess, would be pretty good. Start there. Just give her a little snug. And again, I'm going to hold against the window or against the shop light here, looking for light passing through any gaps here. Not really seeing any. Looks pretty even there. So in theory, this would make a plain blade. You know, it wants to bite in there, but I'm not going to hurt myself or the blade trying to force it to work that way. What I can do is fit it up in the body and just give it a little feel. Here's the old girl. Let's get her put together here. Be gentle, she's old. We don't want to bang the blade into the cast iron anywhere or upset it like that. Trying to sight that in sort of kind of evenly, right? You can adjust it, sure, but the less you have to adjust, the better. How does that feel? Oh, maybe a bit much. Doesn't want to adjust off the finger wheel. Maybe a tiny bit less. So I'm taking the cap iron here, or the lever cap rather, is squishing the blade assembly against the frog, like this, with this little lever, little cam action. And I'm just adjusting the screw here, because the lever has no adjustment, it's kind of on-off, but the screw changes that pressure. So you want to be able to fairly easily adjust it with your finger wheel. Oh yeah, that's a little better. Might just like that, I think. All right, let's give this a test drive. I'm going to use my power bar, the metal power bar back here that's bolted to the wall, as an improvised plane stock, because I don't have a workbench for woodworking yet. And we're just going to see. Index it sort of to the bottom here. Get a little bit of a shave on that side, not much. Let's see what the other side of the blade is. Nothing there yet. Oh, that's bad. Oh, big shaving on that side. Probably none on this side. I think that may be a touch loose. Yeah, nothing on this side. So barely anything, just out of the middle there. We'll adjust her in a little bit. There we go, a nice fine shave. It's amateur hour up in here, look out. Just whisper thin. There you have it. I mean, this is just a piece of dimensional pine, but even at a 600 grit finish, we're able to do some very wispy thin planing. Like, that's so thin you could read through it. And I also managed to get a few kind of full width bits out of her there. I am super pleased with that for what was a $10 or $12, I forget, antique store rescue. That's in Canadian pesos as well. So really, in the States, you might find something like that under 10 bucks at a a less fancy antique store. Or if you're willing to do all the repair and the rescue work. I put that blade back in, I think. There we go. Tuck her away. Nice. So it goes to show you that an IT guy can repair woodworking equipment, so I think you guys probably can too. Look around, there's all kinds of great resources on YouTube. I'm just, that's where I've been learning from, and I hope to make more lovely shavings someday. But super duper happy with that, and thanks everybody for watching. Cheers. Keep your stick on the ice.